Do we have anybody online? Is the lawyer online? Yeah. Okay. All right. We'll do a
Good
roll.
morning, board. This is Joshua Myers, assistant attorney. I'm here with y'all today. Sorry, I had to rejoin as a panelist. I got knocked out right after chair asked if there was anyone online.
We have Josh joining us this morning. We have a TIF payment going out and we wanted him to be a part of that so he can keep us in line. Give any input. Can we do a roll call, please?
Jones here.
Harry here.
Warren here.
Good here. Cabrera here.
Gamelke here.
Mijares here.
Weatherford here.
Jared, can you lead us in a pledge of allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This has all the makings of a very short meeting. Any,
There it is.
what's that?
And now it's not.
Do you have any additions, deletions, corrections to the agenda? Hearing none, I guess I would like to approve the agenda from last month's minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Harry will second.
Do we take a roll call on that? Do we take a vote on that?
Jones, yes.
Harry, yes.
Warren, yes.
Good, yes. Cabrera, yes.
Gamelke, yes.
Mijares, yes.
Weatherford, yes.
Any public comment? I don't see anybody from the public. Anybody online have anything? Any unfinished business? Anybody have anything?
Well, I had a couple of things maybe that we can get to in reports, just dealing with stuff from the past couple of meetings that we might want to talk to Aaron about. The Martini Hut Voss building, any progress on that? And he was going to find a pathway. So, and then also where he stands with the Bergson Park consultant. So if you want to do that in reports,
Sure.
or if you want to add it, it's up to you, boss.
We can do that now if you'd like. Is that all right with everybody? Aaron?
Yes, so I have met with our attorneys actually a couple of times on the Voss building, understanding what the condemnation process looks like. I've been told it can take 2 to 3 years to actually go through all the steps to do the condemnation, but we are putting a path forward to start the process. And so I expect probably in the next 30 days, we'll have that in place.
Okay,
Yeah.
very good.
And then what about the Bergstrom Park study? Is anything happening with that?
Yes, so we have been kind of negotiating with them on what the parking study will look like. Everything else is laid out for the master plan, but the parking itself, what we're asking them for is a study from Park Street to Fairview on the south side of 24. And we're kind of still going through the final steps of what all will be included in that and how comprehensive it will be. So that's the delay. But by the next meeting, we will have that all in place.
And who's heading that up for the city?
I am.
Okay.
Yep.
Because I think the one aspect I'd like the city to consider is maybe a lessening of the requirement for the downtown area parking in general, not to meet certain existing code or provide some sort of area maybe within the overall DDA that lessens that parking requirement just so we can increase density in the downtown as far as commercial use.
We'll have to see if that can be accomplished in that process. That may have to go back through planning.
No, I think
Yep.
it should go through planning. That's why I was asking who was doing it, if I should get with Karen and have that
Yes, well,
discussion.
I'll be coordinating all of it, but yes, we'll have all of the right parties in there.
Would burying the utility lines be part of the process?
We will be looking at that with Core as part of the master plan, yes.
Yeah.
We've
Because I know
already
they did it-
reached out to Core asking about superchargers and what their infrastructure currently is there and how much it would potentially cost. So we've already started those conversations, but that will all be part of the master plan process.
Cause I know on our side of the street, when they redid the parking lots, they did underground utilities.
Hmm.
So, and it looks a lot cleaner. So.
Oh, absolutely.
For the view of people, yeah.
But it all costs money.
Yes. Arden, is that
That's it.
okay? Mary, are you giving us a Tava update?
All right, good morning. I know you want Wagoner or Weaver, but you get Stokowski today. So I just wanted to give you a quick Tava update. We have the foundation dug out. We've also uncovered about 350,000 pounds of concrete that we've pulled out of Woodland Station. We're pulling out more. So I don't know what kind of dump site was there, but there's a lot of it. So that's been some challenges for us, but we are overcoming those obstacles and we're working on the foundation right now and moving forward, making progress.
Do you have any idea when the foundation pouring is going to begin?
Well, we're still working on the rebar process right now. So I don't know exactly when they'll be pouring the foundation, but the goal is to have that foundation poured before we really hit hard winter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for Mary? Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Mary. Right, Mary. Mr. Good has a
I was
question.
just gonna point out that that was an old granite monument business there, wasn't there? Is it granite that you're pulling out of the ground?
Concrete.
Concrete.
We found very small sections of granite, but yeah.
Really?
Just really limited. It's
Did
about
you see that big
95%
pile?
concrete.
Do you see that big pile of concrete?
No.
Oh my, it's a lot.
Yeah, well,
Mhm. Yeah, it was 350,000, yes.
That's a lot. I gave everybody, so we have been talking about the micro grants and I gave each of you a copy of the first kind of rough of what we're thinking about on the micro grants. I don't know if you guys, I know it's not very long. We have also been talking, we had a meeting yesterday with the lawyers about the micro grants. And it is something that we want to move forward with. We'd like to have something in place by the January meeting is our goal, is to have something concrete. Probably one of the only things that I am not really a big fan of in this one is having the person do a 20% of the total project cost, like I'm not necessarily on board with that. I think I'd definitely like to just have it be a full grant for people. $5,000 doesn't go very far. But it could go far in painting if somebody wanted to do painting or something like that. But I think if somebody wanted to spend, say they want to do an $8,000 upgrade, well, then we would give them 5 and they would spend 3. So, or if they're doing 15, still we would pay the 5 and they would pay the 10. So if anybody has any ideas, we're asking for any input. Once you look this over.
Yeah.
Jerry, do you have some input?
well, just a little.
Okay.
No, I'm just kind of curious, how many businesses are downtown probably?
I don't know all the businesses that will apply.
Well, you'd be silly if you wouldn't you?
We're okay with, I mean, if there was 50, we'd still be okay with it.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In 2009, technically about 20 businesses got the DDA grant. It was given at that time. So, yeah, so you have to come up with something that makes sense within the dollar figures. That's probably the biggest limiter.
I think you're mostly directing to building owners, right?
And well, building owners or business owners that are inside the building. So
They
I don't think we
will,
want to limit it to just the person that owns the building. What if they're not even present, but somebody owns the business inside and they would like to do some improvements to the building with obviously the building owner's
Yeah,
permission?
right.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I do think that we wanted it to be the building owner or the person that has the business in the building.
Okay. And then you have a section here, evidence of need. And I'm curious about that. I mean, that, what, I guess at some point, if you just wanted to improve the building and your building's fine, but you just wanted to make improvements, what's the evidence of need? Where it seems very subjective.
Yeah.
To me.
This is just a rough,
Okay.
we can take out anything we want. We can add some things if we'd like. If we come to a conclusion that we'd like to add something as well.
Okay.
So there are other DDAs that have done this, and that's kind of where this was pulled from.
Okay.
There's a few of them. So it's just kind of a rough idea of what we're after.
Yeah, for instance, one of the items that isn't in here is that obviously taxes have to be current for them to be eligible for a grant. But yeah, this, I think John just gave this as a starting point, and I think Josh can probably weigh in on what they're working on for you. For
Yes,
us.
yes. And that,
Yeah,
go ahead, Josh, if you'd like.
Sorry, Chair. Good morning, board. Apologize for earlier at internet connection issues. So yeah, we did have our meeting yesterday. We went through the rough draft. Marcus and I did, along with Tony and John, and came out with some good information on the ideas of where they think the board would like to go, but understanding that it's going to be all of your efforts together and coming up with the details of the program. Our office is going to be here to assist you with basically fleshing out the basic requirements for a grant program, and to bring that before you at the December meeting so you can have a discussion on it together. And we'll be addressing the issues such as subjective versus objective criteria. I think it's a great idea to know the number of downtown businesses in general, not just the ones that might apply, but having an idea of how many actual businesses are within the district itself. And so we'll be discussing a lot of the objective versus subjective and basic criteria during the December meeting. And that way we can have a vote for it during the January meeting. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you have
The
at
other
this time.
we talked about with Josh and Marcus yesterday was perhaps we would have two, we might have a cutoff in March of 25. And then if people can't meet that one, then perhaps we'll have another cutoff in say maybe August or September for a second round so that people could do that at that time as well. So we talked about maybe having two different times that people could apply. And we would give them, so then they would have, I think we discussed they would have maybe 3 months to try to get the work done from once they applied. So I think that's what we're looking at. We wouldn't want them to have a year or two, obviously. We want to get it done and get it done in a timely manner. And to your question, I think we'd even discussed, say somebody wanted to do an ADA compliant bathroom, say they needed a new toilet to make it ADA compliant. I think that could fall within the parameters. It doesn't have just to be outside exterior. If they need a new door, an ADA compliant door, they just need a new door. That could be something that they could do as well. That would fall within those parameters. We want it to be open to help the business to be a better functioning business. We don't want to limit it just to an exterior, just facade like stucco or paint or stuff like that. Like I know for us, we had to spend, when we redid the coffee shop, I had to spend $15,000 for an ADA compliant doorway. I mean, this didn't exist then, but that's quite a hit, so that could help somebody for sure. Any other questions or any ideas? I'm asking people to please bring some ideas. You can reach out to me so that we have them for the next meeting, because we definitely want to have something finalized by January so that we can get this out. And I've talked to Pat, and Pat will help us too to advertise and to get it out there, put something in the paper so that we can get it out so that businesses know. And I'm willing to go and shake hands. I go to the business after hours meetings, and I've already mentioned it to a few people, and they will be applying once there's something for them to apply for. And I think Jerry reached out to me. He knows somebody that wants to apply as well.
Yeah, it took about 5 minutes after our meeting to get a call. So
Yes.
there'll be-
No, I'm excited. I
So
think,
you want us to, over the next few weeks, send you thoughts, ideas so that you could pull it together?
That'd be
Have
great.
it ready for December?
yes, please. That'd be great. Does anybody have anything else on it? You have any ideas?
Just the only thought is differentiation of this program from our standard, TIF request submittals, so make that clear, because I think people could confuse that there's still larger TIF reimbursements available if they're coming in with a
Sure.
large scale project. And this is meant to be a simple, accessible program.
Yes. Is that? I hadn't thought about that. I'm sure that's something that we can adjust, that we can address, correct, Josh? To differentiate between this and the TIF deals?
Yeah, that's no problem. That's also part of advertising for the program, letting people know, so getting the word out. And to go along with what y'all are talking about right now and getting ideas to you, I was already starting to prepare basically an outline of the basic comparators. So, contribution versus no contribution, exterior only versus interior and exterior. Basic questions that, everyone should probably be thinking about. And I can try to get that done within the next week and then circulate it after y'all have had, an ability to kind of look at it. And that way it can at least help guide some of the members to answering certain questions, to provide you an ideas on what they're thinking. If you would like that. Yeah, I don't have to if you would rather not.
I like the idea. Does anybody, sounds good, right?
I got a kind of pedestrian question here.
Pedestrian question. What does that mean?
That means, not a high, how does a grant like that work? Is it taxable? I mean, how does that work? I mean, would it affect the business? Would it just be free money that you don't have to report, or?
I hadn't thought about that.
Well, if we think about the government, of course you're gonna have to report it.
So,
I'm not gonna pay that portion of
But
it.
every business will be different and there'll be different ways to treat it from a tax perspective. And, that's, the business owner's gonna have to factor that in.
Any other questions on the micro grants? Do people even like the idea? Do I get a general consensus that everybody here is okay with this? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think as much as we could make it objective, just check if they meet the check marks, and it's a go. And, I'm open to everything from internal, external, anything that can, you said it best, that can improve the success of that business.
Yeah.
It could be HVAC, maybe better heating systems. Some of these buildings are a little
Yes,
problematic.
Yes.
And a little cold when you go in them. So
Yeah.
I think anything that can improve the business. And looking in here, there's a lot of these points hit to the DDA foundation plan. So it could be stuff beyond just the building if it adds to the downtown foundation plan that the DDA is trying to accomplish.
yeah,
In 2009, there were several entities that took advantage from an art perspective, let's say. They did the benches that you used to see around town that were colored or painted by different artists and things like that. So I think the attorney's given us the basic things we need to make sure we cover, make it as objective as possible, and then make it as clear as possible for the business owners would be the
Yeah.
best.
like if you wanted to restripe your parking spots, right? Something, I mean, it could be that. You own the parking spots, so. And that's why I think, so there are people that lease their buildings, George, but they are the business owners. And so we wouldn't want to differentiate. We would want the person that owns the business to have access to this as well. So that they can improve the traffic flow or however, so they can improve their business. I think that's why we opened it up to, because we had discussed that about should it be owners or should it be business owners? And so we want it to be both.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does.
great. I'm glad everybody, I like it. I like the idea of being able to give back to the community. Yeah, it's pretty cool. All right, are we done with that? Any public comment regarding new business? No. All right. Board Chair report. I'm just excited about this micro grant. Thanks, everybody, for, please, if you have any ideas, you can reach out to me personally, or you can just reach out to me through email or through the DDA email. Either way, please. Any ideas, I'm open to listening to them. We're excited about it. I'm glad. Thank you, Mary. We're super excited about Tava. Can't wait to get some concrete in the ground. Yeah. Do you have anything?
I can give a quick update on Lake Street. As you all can probably see, Lake Street is still not reopened. We do have both layers done from 67 to Maple. We have the bottom layer done from 67 all the way to Pine Street, no, Fairview. We have the bottom layer done from there to Pineview, Fairview. The cross span, I think, is supposed to be done early next week at 67. And then we're hopeful that we'll get one weather day that they can pour the bottom layer and go all the way down, so that we're hopeful in the next couple of weeks that that'll be done. But it is still not reopened.
Yeah, I know. I think people will be happy when that's open.
Yes,
Yeah.
people and the city will be very happy when that's open.
Treasurer report?
Sure, so, couple of things. We only have, one TIF reimbursement, this month. It's for Trail Ridge Apartments, otherwise known as Woodland Park Associates. We have verified that this TIF reimbursement amount of $58,865.95 is calculated properly for 2024. However, after the last TIF reimbursement with the Microtel, it occurred to the city and the DDA that we kind of inherited the spreadsheet. And what I will say is, I don't think necessarily that the spreadsheet was wrong just because of, because it wasn't done right. I think what happened, from what I can tell, is that the TIF contracts that were done aligned initially probably with the spreadsheets. And then if there was a delay, like in Microtel, it took them several years to actually finally get their CO. If there was a delay, it could have affected the contract. And so what we did after the Microtel is we sent the active TIF contracts to the attorneys to ask them to review the contracts relative to the spreadsheet that we've been using to account for it. So sure enough, Woodland Park Associates, Josh, if you could kind of give a quick summary of what you found with that audit. I'm calling it an audit.
Sorry about that. Still having internet connection issues. So the Woodland Park Associates audit, or the TIF audit that I was looking at in general for all the agreements?
Just the Woodland Park Associates, we confirm that 2024, our calculations are correct, that
Correct.
we in the city do, but in reconciling to the actual contract, you did find a discrepancy.
Correct. So I found that there was First Amendment, and in the First Amendment, it actually changed the start date, which then changed the end date, and that changed the percentage per each year. So last year in the original contract would have been 50% of the reimbursement, but due to the First Amendment change, it actually was 75%. And now the contract ends in December 31st of 2032 or 31. So I'd have to pull that up and look at it again, but it just went back 1 year. But the good part that we also found is that the max reimbursement was actually lowered by $100,000. So it's now 1.1 million instead of 1.2. And I was talking with Marcus about this. We'll probably prepare a letter to Woodland Park Associates to just let them know, if that's something the board would like us to do and the city would like us to do as well.
Yeah, I think the appropriate thing to do is to obviously draft a letter explaining the discrepancy and then obviously doing that additional 25% reimbursement for based on last year's mill levy.
Correct. And the difference is a little bit over 6,000.
So and Josh is going to complete the other active TIFs to make sure that the spreadsheets are in alignment and that we understand. And this is part of the overall process of we finally got some accounting information. So the two bonds that we have with Vectra are due to be paid off in 2028. So that's good news, is that that debt will be gone in 2028. Currently, as you know, the DDA is scheduled to cease to exist in 2032 unless the city council decides to extend it for 20 years, and who knows what's going to happen there with the political body at the time. But what we're doing is making sure that we have all the accounting right, we get the debt paid off, and to the point of grants, whether it's for infrastructure in the downtown or the micro grant program or whatever we do, we have built up a pretty good reserve balance that can be utilized for the betterment of the downtown district. So we just want to make sure that we dial that in. And another, I think, important thing to make sure we remind ourselves in terms of how TIFs works is that, for instance, we all know that the state lowered the commercial mill levy rate by 4 mills, right? Everyone knows that. We got a little bit of a tax break. Well, remember, these contracts are only a reimbursement based on the contract on what they pay. And so anything, we only reimburse based on the contract on what they pay. So I don't foresee an issue unless someone doesn't pay and we have to carry that and go to legal or something. But I don't see that as an issue through 2032. And so I think there will be reserve funds that this board can put to work over the next couple of years.
Could you give us a rough or a guesstimate on what those reserve funds are, Tony?
Not putting you on the spot. We could do rough numbers.
I don't have that in front of me. Let me see here.
Yeah. Probably 800,000-ish range. He could tell us precisely, most likely. So my intent is to get kind of a pro forma finished up before December that kind of shows us out through 2032, assuming variables stay the same, what that looks like for the DDA.
So it's approximately 1.2 million at this
Oh,
point.
1.2. Okay, sorry.
That's to start 25.
Oh,
That's after all of our obligations are met? No.
Yes,
yeah.
that's
Yeah.
after everything.
Yeah, think of it as a savings account.
Yeah.
That's all the excess of taxes we've collected that haven't gone to TIF reimbursements.
So just so everybody has an idea, we've kind of thrown it around. Well, we'd like to end with 0. So obviously we'd like to, we're looking for ideas and ways to help the city, you know, and with that. So there's quite a bit there for us to give back to the community.
Well, what happens if the city decides they want to extend the life of?
You know, we had talked about that too. We think that a decision probably needs to be made within the next 2 to 4 years on that, one way or the other, to decide. That's kind of what we talked about. We talked about that yesterday too. So we're not, it doesn't have to be this year or next year, but it has to be within the next 2 to 3 years. We definitely need a decision from the city council. I would think the flavor of the city council as it is right now would be to end it, but I don't know what it would be for the next, you know, so we don't know that exactly. So yes, well, obviously we wouldn't give ourselves 0 until the very end, right? Till we knew, so. Right. Any other questions?
Absent any prepayment penalty, is there any advantage to paying off Vectra loans early?
the interest rate on the loans is pretty low. So at this point, I would say there's not an advantage to pay it off at this moment.
At this-
But if next year the interest rates drop significantly, then it could be advantageous.
Okay,
We're way below market.
wait to see what the market's gonna do.
Alright. Does anybody have any more questions for Tony?
Thank you, Josh. We appreciate that work. Never,
My pleasure.
never occurred to me to actually validate the spreadsheet itself, because that's been handed down for 15 years. So
Yeah, thank you, Josh.
it'll all be cleaned up by December.
Thanks, Tony, for all your work on this too. I know it's a lot of work.
Yeah, none of it's fatal. It's, just, like I said, I don't think it was anything wrong with the previous DDA's treasurers. I think it was more around the reality of when the building started, stopped, got their CO, those kind of things. So.
On to board member reports. Does anybody have anything they'd like to bring up? Jerry?
Well, kind of, am I the only one that talked?
No.
Well, this is, I'm just concerned, about bathrooms. I know it's a crazy subject, but I don't wanna, I'd like the city to look into it a little. It affects my business adversely and others, I'm sure, but there's just, when you're redesigning Bergstrom Park or you're doing anything, I'd just like the city to keep that in mind, that how it affects the businesses. We're just getting overwhelmed with that, and we need help. We're not set up as bathrooms,
We get it in the Java House too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Even though there is a bathroom, so let that be known, there is a bathroom too, that
Yeah.
they could go to, but they don't go
yeah,
to
well,
that
and
one.
in the cultural centers, 90% of the time it's closed. And so when we say that there's a bathroom there isn't. And so anyway, lately it's been an issue.
Well, I do know that Tava had talked about having public bathrooms as well. So if I don't know where Bergstrom Park is going, but if those did go away, Tava is building bathrooms that would be open during the day, would it be at night? No, but ours aren't at night either, so. I don't know that full answer on that, and I'm only guessing it wouldn't be, I don't know.
Yeah, I just want it in the mindset, you can't ignore the fact that we need bathrooms in this town.
Well, apparently we have bathrooms, Jerry, that they can use. Yeah. Does the bank you don't get people coming in there just using the bathrooms too much, because you're a little bit separate.
Only in an emergency.
Yeah,
We get it all day.
yeah, we do too. Yeah. Yep. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to bring up? Arden, do you have anything? No? We don't have a city attorney here, do we? So there's
Oh,
no,
that's the DDA attorney. Should be.
he's already given his report.
I've given my report.
Thank
My pleasure.
Nobody has anything else. I'd say we call this meeting adjourned.
Lauren moves to adjourn.
Done.
There you go.
All right. Yay. Half hour.
That's good.